Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you on January 9th. I'm Larry Jacobs. By the way, 2023. I'm still Larry Jacobs. All right, this is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. We got a nice guest this morning for you. We have Phil Bates. Phillip is the college prep content director at uworld.com. We're going to talk about making sure the college prep exams, okay, have something to do with equity. We want people to understand that everybody needs the same shot at doing well, okay, on a college prep exam. And that's what UWorld is about. And I have to say that UWorld won one of our awards from our American Consortium for Equity in Education this year, one of the Equity Awards, as a special contributor to equity. So this is a very special show for us to be able to have Phillip come on and tell us, okay, what they do, how they do it, and more importantly, why they do it. All right, and again, it's uworld.com. You'll learn all about it as we go further. As you've already figured out, as you probably already know, we're the American Consortium for Equity in Education. Did I say I'm Larry Jacobs? I'm not sure I actually mentioned that this morning. It is Monday. Give me a break. All right, we're the American Consortium for Equity in Education, okay, and we are over at ace-ed.org, ace-ed.org on the web, and everything we do is over there. Our magazine, Equity and Access, which we're so very proud of. It's an online journal. Just click on the cover, and it'll link you right over to a terrific issue. We're putting together our Jan-Feb issue as we speak, okay, which always comes out, okay, around the last week of January, the first week of February, okay, covering a 2-month period. But the current issue up there right now was absolutely excellent. Over at ace-ed.org, you can also see all the Equity Award winners. You can see all the podcasts we've ever done through the link. You'll see our link to SEL Today, to teacherretention.com. It's all about equity, everything we do. And if you do care about that, please go over, check it out. Everything we do is free for educators, okay, of any stripe. So please check it all out over at ace-ed.org. And enough of me blabbing on this Monday morning. I'm going to go over to Phil Bates now. And Phil, you there?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Phil? I'm Larry. How are you in Arizona?
No, Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, that's better because Arizona, I know it's like 6 a.m. So at least it's, what is it? What time is it? 8 a.m., right?
8 a.m. Yep, not too bad.
Good. I don't feel bad for you over there on a Monday morning, then. That's just great, all right? And congratulations to you and your company, UWorld. That is just fabulous.
Oh, thank you,
okay,
sir. Appreciate that.
I love the sir thing. It's such a Southern thing. Are you from Texas?
Yeah, I've lived here for, pretty much my whole life.
Okay, so there you go. You know, you can call me Larry or you can call me sir. Doesn't matter, okay? Whatever. It's fun. You're talking to Maine. We're much less formal. Okay, so
gotcha.
Whatever. It's fun. Okay, tell us about UWorld, your company. That's the letter U, UWorld.com.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Letter U.
He did it again. He called me sir again. We're going to have a serious talk with Phillip after the show. Okay, go ahead. Phil, go ahead.
So, our focus is really on helping students regardless of the area. My area in the company is college readiness, college prep. Giving every student the ability to be successful on content that helps them get ready for college, whether that be T exams, ACT exams, or then, of course, AP exams, things that make sure that students are ready, qualified, and able to, reach their dreams when it comes to secondary education in college.
And so talk about that. And everybody, I'm obviously saying exactly what everybody knows. There is an unequal opportunity for people out there. Okay, some schools have to struggle more than others. Some kids, because of so many varied challenges, have to struggle more than others. Yet this test, okay, the SAT, the ACT, they're the same for everybody. And these kids, all right, need to be prepped better. Okay, they'll all have an equal shot. Talk about that whole thing. Where'd you guys get the idea to make this happen?
Sure. Well, first off, you're 100% right. I mean, I spent 17 years in public ed prior to this position, And I was principal at schools where, there was economic situations where parents were able to get kids into expensive, fancy tutoring. Then I've worked in schools where kids had no chance to have this economic opportunity. So, it's definitely not equal out there. And SAT, ACT, these are not IQ tests. I mean, these are not tests that you have to, you just develop. You're just smart naturally, and you can suddenly do great on the SAT and ACT. You can actually really work to get very effective on these tests. You can work to build the skills to be great on these tests. So, the idea came from our CEO who, came from India. He's from India and became a physician.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, came to the United States, became a physician, still a practicing physician, and ultimately believed in giving every student an opportunity.
Wow. I did. What is the gentleman's name or lady? I don't know if it's who is your CEO?
No, Dr. Pinasani. Yep, we call it Dr. Chandra is what we affectionately call him in the office. But Dr. Pinasani is yes.
Right, and so what? How did I want to answer? I'm trying to get two questions into my head. How do you get the word out about what you do, and how do you literally help kids do better, be ready for college, for their college testing? Okay, what do you actually do at UWorld? And again, that's you, the letter, not YOU. UWorld.com. Go ahead.
So we'll start with kind of, our secret sauce, if you will, or what makes us, kind of effective. And we do what we call explanatory explanations. And that goes along with content that makes sure the bar is high. So we're going to provide students with content they're going to see on the SAT, on the ACT, on AP exams, and we're going to keep that bar high. And what the difference that we do is we provide explanatory explanations, meaning that if a student isn't comfortable in a concept, if a student has a misconception about a concept, we're going to walk them through what their misconception was, why they picked an answer that wasn't correct. We do it through visual aids. We do it through really concise explanations. And we do it in such a way that doesn't make the student feel like they're not able to overcome this challenge or not able to understand the concept. We kind of speak directly to the student. The way we get the word out, primarily, it's through traditional marketing ways and whatnot, but we really believe in students talking to students, teachers talking to teachers, parents talking to parents. We like that word of mouth, and we like when a student, who overcomes a challenge, maybe goes from a 1,000 to 1,200 on their SAT, will tell a sibling or tell a friend, hey, I use UWorld, and that helped me get over that hump.
I'm writing down here as I'm going. You said, excuse me, welcome to Monday morning. And you said explanatory explanation, okay?
Sure.
Give me an example. Can you give me an example of that? And I'll tell you, I work with another company. This is interesting. I'm having this revelation this week, okay, or the end of last week, beginning. There's another company I know. You might know them, called Speak Agent, okay? And they do academic linguistics, so to speak, for lack of a better way to put it. They try to explain stuff. Okay, and they try to get the kids early to explain. I don't know if you know them or not. Okay, you guys all need to know each other. All right, and what does UWorld do? That's part of a curriculum. Okay, what they do. All right, in high school. But what you do, if I'm getting this straight, is in a curriculum. It's student by student, and you do these and I may be wrong. I want you to explain it. Do me an explanatory explanation. I love, by the way, that's a redundant, great phrase. Explanatory explanation. Good.
So traditionally,
give me an example.
So traditionally, the way education works is students will be provided with questions, and they practice wrong. So, for example, like my 14-year-old, son, he takes geometry right now, and bless his heart, he will come home with 30 questions for homework, and he might understand some concepts but not others, and so
sounds like me
knocking
back then. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, all of us.
Although the difference is I understood nothing. He at least understands some of them, so that's good. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, he doesn't have necessarily an aptitude for math, but he hangs in there okay.
He's a good kid. I know that. That's cool. Yeah.
He's a good kid for sure.
Yeah.
And so what happens when you don't give explanatory feedback, when you don't provide students with an explanation immediately following an answer choice, what you get students practicing wrong. And students don't get that immediate feedback, and they go, okay, well, I think I'm doing this correctly. I think this is right, or I'm pretty sure I'm right. And so they practice wrong numerous times, and that prevents that true learning to happen, or it delays that learning. And we don't believe in delaying that learning. We believe in immediate feedback, making sure that a student knows what's correct, what's incorrect. And it's not really correct or incorrect. We like to call it misconceptions, because ultimately students are not just picking something because they just randomly want to pick something for the most part. They're thinking something is right. And students are notorious for saying, I know it's this answer. I can promise you it's this answer. And so we kind of gently say, well, no, there's a misconception there. Here's what you were thinking. Here's what you should have been thinking.
But all right, now put this into a typical – into one of, I'll say it this way, into one of your customers. Is your customer the school district? Is your customer the student? Is your customer the guidance counselor? Who's your customer? And
all the above.
Okay.
Yeah,
so how do you
above.
work with them? What happens? How's your work with them?
So we've got students really around the world who use our SAT product especially because it's a very strong international test. And so we've got students in Nepal and Egypt, obviously the United States, that use us, which is fun. It's fun to see students in other parts of the country who are just working so hard to get into, American universities. Yeah. And then we also, we'll sell to large school districts, small school districts, single schools, single teachers. It just depends on, we're not biased. We'll support and help anybody
wherever it's needed. And what are you?
Exactly.
Let me. I'm going to get this down further. Then, what are you selling to them? Are you selling them a tutor? Are you selling them a part of a curriculum? Are you selling them what I used to call when I was a kid, test prep booklets? Okay, and then you go over the answers with them. We can go right down the list. What is it that you world actually is giving them? And I'm trying to narrow it down so people understand exactly where we are with this.
Yeah, absolutely. We are a full digital product, first of all. So it's 100% digital. And what's nice about that is, we can change our content anytime we want. So if there's an error or if there's a change by the college board, we can go in and modify content, and the next day it can be tweaked. We have a feedback button for both our students and our teachers. If they see something that they don't feel like is quite right, if they find an error, we get that feedback, and my team will look through that feedback on a daily basis, and we'll modify our content based on that feedback. So, that's first off. We've got a learning platform that teachers use. So UWorld Learning Platform allows teachers to push out our content. Our content is really part of that curriculum and helps reinforce that curriculum. So I'll give you an example. If you're a student taking an AP course, maybe U.S. History, AP U.S. History, you could purchase us, and the student could use us in collaboration with what that student is getting in the classroom. And, if they're working through Unit 1, they can go through our questions and content in Unit 1 while the student is being taught by the teacher with Unit 1, and it just helps fill in some gaps. Might keep them from having to go to tutoring as much, might increase their grade, that sort of thing. And then from the teacher doesn't have to go and find really quality questions that support the exam. We're right there for them. So the teacher can teach this fantastic lesson, push out our content, and reinforce that teaching that they did actually worked out the way they hoped it would, and they don't have to go back and pull small groups because of that explanatory feedback will fill in those gaps.
And how did you guys know what the teacher is teaching?
So
and how do you know
luckily,
the curriculum of a given school district, a given course in a school district, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Fortunately, the College Board really lines it up for teachers. So, if you're an AP teacher, an advanced placement teacher, you have to follow a scope and sequence that College Board provides you. Now, we know AP teachers out there do things in different orders sometimes. They ultimately are going to teach all that content, but they might change it in order. So we allow teachers to push out content in any order they want to push it out.
Okay.
Yeah. And then same thing for SAT. I mean, the SAT, another College Board, they are very explicit on here's what's going to be assessed, here's the concepts you need to know, and same thing for ACT. So we have really nice blueprints of the curriculum and really nice, idea of here's what we've got to cover in order to support, both students and teachers.
And let's just take a small rural school district, in Texas, versus a big city school district in Texas. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's actually a good state. It really does. It's so big, it has the full gamut.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah. Is the AP course the same in both? Because let's go down along the border in Texas. Okay? Those are a lot of under-resourced districts, between around El Paso through over to New Mexico. Those are under-resourced, heavily Latino districts. Okay, we know that. Okay, and I know everybody down there is working hard to change that. All right, and then you have the high echelon suburban Houston districts. I'll just say that are just absolutely superb. Okay, but everybody's got great teachers. It's just the resources I'm talking about here to make a difference in the districts. So if they're teaching AP down in those rural districts in El Paso versus a big district near Houston, how does it affect the way you guys go after this?
Yeah, that's
really an equity question, and it
is, Larry.
It's tough out there, man. I mean, we're trying. The SATs, they're trying to get kids into college I'll say it this way, on a high quality but generic level. Yet they're coming up with unequal situations. Okay, that's where you guys, which I think is fantastic, where New World, helps to make the difference. But how do you account for all that? Okay, which you may not be. I don't know. Help me out there.
Well, no, you hit it on the head, and that really is our 100% motivation. That's the direction we want to take. And we have 1,000 school districts in Texas. I mean, 1,000 districts, and they are as diverse as you could possibly imagine. I mean, you've got a superintendent who's also the bus driver, also the baseball coach, and elementary, junior high, and high school is all in the same building. And then you've got like a school that my son and daughter attend, Allen High School, which has got 4,000 students in it. So, very different needs, very different supports. What is the equalizing factor is there's a level and a line that students have got to get to in order to get into college, pass an AP exam. That line, that bar is the same for everybody. And ultimately, where we come in is we want every student in that small rural district. Oftentimes, they have the same dreams and aspirations, but unfortunately, maybe that teacher doesn't have the opportunity to attend these fantastic College Board trainings in the summer.
Exactly.
Because they live 400 miles away. Yeah. And so we come in and we provide, this content that's written at that College Board level. I'll give you a good example. We had a teacher, an AP statistics teacher, AP stats teacher, brand new to the content, had never taught AP stats. That is extremely common right now. I mean, you've got new teachers who've been thrust into AP classrooms. And what that teacher told me, crazy. And what that teacher told me is, oh my gosh, you guys were lifesavers. I went through the content along with my students and learned the content and how to teach the content because of you guys. And I mean, that's like music to our ears. I mean, that's why, we're all ex-educators, and we still like to call ourselves educators. and we absolutely crave that kind of feedback. We love it.
And and you brought up something incredibly important. Okay, I don't know whether you heard me mention, Phillip, but we have a website that we run, which we think is about the most serious problem out there. That's about teacher retention and the teacher shortage. Okay, schools have a lot of challenges, but that's one of the biggest ones. We don't have a pipeline of educators anymore. And you just talked about a teacher who all of a sudden is thrust, okay, and I'm sure they're a qualified person, but it's still hard to do, into teaching AP statistics. I mean, that's not easy. Okay, for anybody, and teaching any AP course in any subject is not easy. You have to be almost a college professor to do it. Okay, and I congratulate those incredible teachers to do it. In this day and age, it is incredibly important for school districts to understand what you are doing in leveling the playing field, because that's one of the ways, getting kids into college, okay, is one of the ways that they measure themselves. They measure their success that way. Okay, and I know it's college and career ready, and college isn't the answer for everybody, but still, we want our kids to go on to good. And if we don't provide them with the opportunity to do that, the colleges are missing out. Our society is missing out. The kids are missing out as they become adults. It's the old line from remember the United Negro College Fund line. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Okay?
Yeah,
and there are kids, just because they're in an under-resourced school, who have great minds, okay, who don't even know that the opportunity exists. And that's why, in my opinion, what you guys do at UWorld is so damn important these days, and especially in light of the teacher shortage. Okay, you have got to be there to take up the slack, so to speak, and it's important. Yeah. So how does the school district work with you? Do they, let's say the ABC school district, what do? They call you and say, we want you. Now what happens? What do
Absolutely. So we really emphasize.
By the way, that was my rant for today, but I think it's important. Okay?
No, that was really...
Yeah,
it was very well said, and I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I think when you're talking about this day and age, this time period, my wife's a high school teacher. I mean, it is as challenging out there as it's ever been, and I think it's exceptionally challenging. Schools that struggle with resources or struggle with teacher retention before, it's 10 times worse, 100 times worse. I mean, it's just astronomically worse. We're big on not just saying, oh, thank you for purchasing UWorld, good luck with it, see you later. I mean, we don't take that approach at all.
I know you don't believe in.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a contractor once. I said, what kind of warranty do you offer? And he made a joke. He said, I have a taillight warranty. The minute you can't see my taillights, the work is out of warranty. Okay, that's not what you guys do. That's not what you guys do. Yeah, go ahead.
No, because what is nice is, all of my folks that I'm lucky to be on a team with, all master AP teachers, master SAT, ACT tutors. I mean,
thanks
I have
for bringing that
folks,
up.
30 folks in-house. All we do basically are instructional planning meetings every day. I mean, it's really a very stimulating, wonderful place to work because we're just constantly talking about the content. And so what we do is we don't assume when we, provide you with AP or SAT and ACT content, we don't assume that your teachers or your staff or your school really understand the nitty-gritty of all that. It would be silly for us to do that. For example, SAT. I would argue that most high school teachers don't really have a strong understanding of what's covered on the SAT. And so
I would probably agree.
Yeah, and so we come in there and provide training through our implementation process so the teachers understand the components of the SAT, where students can make the biggest gains, what's actually on there. And then what they can do is they can take our SAT content and integrate it with their English and their math content so students are improving their SAT score as they are doing well in the course. I'll give you an example. So if you're a junior English teacher and your kids are struggling with grammar, well, what a great way to integrate SAT, content, because the SAT is heavy in grammar, heavy in subject of verb agreement, heavy in apostrophes. And so you make your kids better writers, you get them better on the SAT. It's just really like match made in heaven, where we're kind of, in education, we try to kill as many birds with one stone as we can because it's so busy and so hectic. So this gives them a chance to do more than one thing.
Point. Yeah, no, Phillip, I got to ask you, you just said something that really struck me. Okay, so I'm going to ask you an odd question. When you look at UWorld, okay, do you see it as a professional development type of company to help AP? You're doing development work with AP teachers to make them better AP teachers and have their kids pass? Or do you see it as, I don't know, I'll just say it this way, kind of like a student tutoring company? Okay, where you're not only going to work with the teachers a little bit, but you're going to work individually with the student. How do you position a company like that?
That's a wonderful question. I think it's all encompassing. I mean, we you can't be all things to all people in theory, but you can certainly try. And I'll give you an example for AP. I mean, AP College Board professional development is a fortune for school districts. I mean, College Board will charge a great deal of money for, I'm sure, some really high quality instruction. We like to support our customers with that same quality professional development, because I've got on my staff these incredible AP teachers that were readers for the College Board and that they helped author questions and grade essays. And so when we help schools implement the content, we do provide professional development. Is that our primary focus? No, but we are happy to do it, and it goes along with our content. And so, teachers love to teach teachers. Teachers love to support teachers. We really take that mentality.
So when you guys do your work, okay, the actual work of what you do you find yourself working more with teachers or more with students?
Both. I'll have a student email us through our feedback button who is maybe preparing for their AP exam. And they'll email and say, hey, I don't really quite understand this concept. You guys had an amazing explanation, but I'm missing this. And so we've got somebody on our team who will contact that student back. So in that regard, we're working directly with students. We'll have a teacher that reaches out to us and says, hey, in unit 7 for BC Calculus, my students are struggling with this concept. Would you guys be able to create more questions related to that? Absolutely. We add it to our list. We'll work with curriculum directors who want to integrate our content directly into their curriculum, and we'll work with them over the summer. Because we kind of have, just like schools, we have periods of the year where we have different focuses. Whether or not we're editing and revising content over the summer because school isn't in session, or maybe right before the AP exam, we'll do these great webinars, these great videos to kind of give some teachers tips on how to get kids ready for the exam. So it's a seasonal thing, right before the school year. It's all hands on deck for, the professional development like you're talking about, and the integration and implementation, that sort of thing.
To me, this is all extremely fascinating. How many school districts are you working on? Let me ask a different way. Are you working in all 50 states, or how's it
Not in all
out?
50. Yeah, not in all 50 states, but a good chunk of them, even including Hawaii. We even got a couple customers in Hawaii.
Well, why not? And you could work in all 50
exactly.
states, right? You could work in all 50
absolutely
states.
could. And our districts that we work with and schools we work with are very diverse. And that's fun. And what's nice is we see amazing results in all the districts, whether or not they're high achieving and have lots of support, or whether or not they're small and more rural. And we're probably, we're in more than 50 districts right now.
That is fabulous. That is just great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's exciting.
And I might add, growing. You guys do a lot of good work.
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so.
You guys do a lot of good work. What about And I know a lot of the colleges are backing down on ACT, SAT, and they're going to, quote, test optional. You know, you write the essay and you meet with them and all that sort of thing. All right? How's that affect everything?
So that's been a really fascinating thing to watch. You know, test blind and test optional, I'm sure you guys have discussed it on your show.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's very few universities who go test blind. And so you've got a lot that go test optional, but ultimately that SAT score and ACT score still helps distinguish students. It still helps, you know, it impacts scholarship opportunities. It impacts, you know, who gets in. And we have seen and we haven't seen necessarily a drop in customers. In fact, we've continued to grow with customers. What you're going to see coming up, and man, we could talk for hours about this new digital SAT that's coming out.
What's this? I don't know about this. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Yes. So the SAT will go 100% digital for international students this spring. And then it will go 100% digital for students in the U.S. Next spring, so spring of 24. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal because now the test is shorter. This is adaptive. The test is now 2 sections. Oh, huge changes. And it's going to really encourage. I mean, I think College Board has done, from a business standpoint, made a smart decision, because you're going to have lots of students lining up to take a shorter, adaptive digital test. And that's, we're going to see a resurgence, I think, in SAT.
Thank you for that update. That I did not know that. And, you know, we need one. I got a note from you guys that says, and I did not know this, ACT reports that scores are the lowest in 30 years. And I think, I assume the pandemic has something to do with that. Yeah, what's
yes,
your
sir.
thoughts on this? Yeah. What do you think?
Really depressing. I mean, we're all educators. I mean, it just breaks your heart. And we knew there were huge gaps that were taking place, you know, during the pandemic, and we're feeling that now. I mean, we were starting to make some gains prior to the pandemic, and you know, we're all resilient. We'll fill in those gaps over time. But that data was eye-opening. I mean, it was eye-opening to anybody in education, and it wasn't like I told me so, but it was more like we're not surprised by this.
Yeah, well, you know, the pandemic, for all the pain it caused, and I never mean to make light of that in the slightest. It was horrible. It is an ongoing horrible event, if I may, but there's lingering effects to it. But, you know, it opened our eyes to a lot of things that we kind of knew when we were able to shove under the rug, okay? And all of a sudden, the pandemic ate up the rug, okay? And all these things were exposed. All right, and now we're making the changes that we really need to make. And I'm telling you, how long have you been around?
So we have been around for 20 years. Wow. Now, we have not been K-12, but for a few of those years. You know, really, essentially the last 4 years, and AP even less. But what our company was built to initially support medical students to pass
your founder's a physician. Right.
Absolutely. To pass their exams, their certification. So cool is we started helping physicians. Yeah. Then we started helping nurses. Then we started helping students who were taking the MCAT. We use the same methodology, the same philosophies, the same pedagogy to support physicians as we do high school students.
Wow. It's wow. What can I say? That is really interesting transition and growth of a company. Okay,
absolutely.
I have to tell you, and it's so great. Okay, that you're able to take what you're doing for physicians, okay, and make it work for kids in literally K-12. Literally K-12.
Yes. Yep. Exactly right. It's fun. It's an amazing company to be part of. It's really a superb group of people, and all committed to every student, regardless of area, learning complex things and making complex things easy to understand. That's really our philosophy.
Wow. Wow, what can I tell you? Okay, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you later today and talk to you more about this on the phone, not on the air. Okay, I want to learn more. This is really fascinating to me. It really is, and I love what you just said. It's explanatory explanations. I like giving people the opportunity to actually understand all this stuff. Okay, not just being taught it, but actually understanding it. Okay, if I may, and it's really cool. Phillip, thank you. I'll call you later today. This is really interesting. Okay, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Larry.
This is great.
Thank you so much,
I hope you had a good time. I did. Happy Monday, my friend.
Enjoyed it.
No, I loved it. Okay, thank you for telling me all about this. Fascinating stuff. And congrats on winning our Equity Award. We love it.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You take care. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Sounds great.
Phillip Bates, everybody, from UWorld. That's the letter U. uworld.com. This is fascinating. Okay? Fascinating. And they one of our big equity awards as a special contributor to equity. And they are. Well, good stuff. Hey, I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. See all about our equity awards and everything we do over at ace-ed.org. Phillip, thanks a million. This was great. I'll talk to you all later, everybody. Happy Monday.